Did you know almost half of all cold emails never even make it to the inbox? Not spam, not promotions, they just disappear, blocked, flagged, or filtered out before anyone ever sees them. Now think about this for a second. You spend hours building a lead list. You rewrote your email copy 5 different times. You finally hit send on 500 emails and then waited. And nothing happened. Maybe 1 or 2 opens, no replies. So naturally, you start thinking, maybe my subject line sucks. Maybe my offer is weak. Maybe my copy just isn't good enough. But honestly, your copy probably wasn't the problem at all. The real issue is your email never had a chance in the first place. Before your prospect could even open up the email, it was already blocked, flagged, bounced, gone. And the fix isn't some better subject line or fancy CTA trick. It's something most people completely ignore when setting up cold email campaigns. SMTP setup. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to set up your own SMTP server so your emails actually land in the inboxes, scale properly, and stop getting blocked. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Melvin Minassian from Rubedo AI, and on this video, I break down cold outreach, deliverability, and email marketing in a way that actually makes sense. Alright, let's get into it. Why do emails get blocked? Alright, before we jump into the setup, I want to quickly explain why this is even a problem in the first place. Because once you understand what's happening behind the scenes, cold emails starts making a lot more sense. So when you send emails through Gmail, Outlook, or even platforms like MailChimp, you're not sending from your own private server. You're sending from a shared IP address. That means thousands or even millions of other people are sending emails from that exact same IP as you. Now here's where the problem starts. Let's say one person on the shared IP starts blasting spam emails to hundreds of thousands of people. Now Gmail sees that and thinks, yeah, this IP address looks bad. And because you're sharing that same IP, your emails can get hurt too, even if you did absolutely nothing wrong. That's one of the biggest reasons legitimate cold emails never make it to the inbox. But when you use your own SMTP server with a dedicated IP, it's different. Nobody else can damage it, you control it, you build a reputation, you protect it. And on top of that, there are 3 important things every inbox provider checks before allowing your emails through. They're called SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. SPF is basically a list that tells the internet, hey, these are the only servers allowed to send emails from my domain. So if an email comes from some random server that's not on that list, Gmail immediately gets suspicious. Big red flag. DKIM is like a digital signature on your email. Think of it like a seal on an old letter with wax. It proves the email really came from you and that nobody changed anything along the way. And then there's DMARC. DMARC sits on top of the SPF and DKIM and tells Gmail what to do if something fails. It basically says if an email says it's from me, but it doesn't pass these checks, you can tell Gmail to reject it, send it to spam, or just report it back to you. And if you're missing any one of these 3 setups, spam filters start losing trust in you. And that means your emails can get blocked or land in spam, even if the email itself is completely clean. And then there's the volume problem. A lot of people don't realize that Gmail caps you at 500 emails per day on a free account, and even Google Workspace account hit a wall around 2,000. Most of the tools out there were built for newsletters and normal business emails, not high volume cold outreach. So what SMTP actually is. So now you understand why emails get blocked. Now let's talk about the actual solution, SMTP. And honestly, SMTP sounds way more technical than it actually is. SMTP just stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. But forget the fancy name. All SMTP really is a system that moves your email from you to someone else's inbox. That's it. Every email you've ever sent through Gmail, Outlook, your business email, or a marketing platform, all of it used SMTP behind the scenes. You've been using it your whole life. You just never knew the name for it. Now that means sending limits, spam filters, and shared reputations with millions of other users. You don't really control much. But when you use your own SMTP server, everything changes. Now you control the sending reputation, the email setup, and the sending volume. Now, a lot of people confuse SMTP servers with email platforms like MailChimp, Klaviyo, or ConvertKit. Yeah, they both send emails, but they're built for different purposes. Those platforms are mainly built for newsletters and marketing emails to people who already subscribe. Cold outreach is different. You're emailing brand new people at scale, and deliverability becomes way more important. That's why cold outreach needs more control than most email platforms are built to give. So what SMTP providers do I actually recommend? First, Email Belt. This is actually the one I use myself for my own outreach campaigns. It's simple, it's clean, reliable, and doesn't overcomplicate things. Setup is straightforward, deliverability is solid, and it does what you need it to do. Consistently land emails in the inbox. Second, Amazon Web Services, SCS. This one is the most powerful and cheapest option at scale. You can send huge volumes for very low cost. The only downside is it's more technical to set up. But if you're serious about scaling outreach long term, a lot of pros eventually move here. And third, Brevo. This is a good middle ground option if you want something easier to use while still getting the good deliverability. All three give you something Gmail and traditional ESPs don't control. And when it comes to cold outreach, control is everything. Section 4. Step-by-step SMTP setup. Core tutorial. Alright, this is the part you've been waiting for. I'm going to walk you through the actual setup step by step. It's the same way I do it myself if I were starting from zero today. By the end of this, you'll have a full working SMTP setup ready for cold outreach. Step 1. Buy a separate domain and warm it up. And trust me, this is where a lot of people mess up. They try to use their main business domain for cold emails. Don't do that. Never use your primary company domain because if that domain gets flagged or lands in spam too much, it can hurt your main website, your regular business emails, and your brand reputation. Keep your outreach completely separate. So if your business is called Apex Marketing, maybe buy something like getapex.com or tryapex.com, something close to your brand, but not your main domain. These domains are cheap too, usually around 10 to 15 bucks a year. Now, once you buy a domain, don't start blasting hundreds of emails right away. That's another huge mistake. A brand new domain sending 500 emails on day one looks super suspicious to Gmail. You need to warm it up slowly. Start with maybe 10 or 20 emails a day the first week and slowly increase the volume each week after that. Over about 4 to 6 weeks, you build trust with inbox providers so your emails land better. And there are also tools like Warmup Inbox and Rubedo AI that help automate the warm-up process by sending real email conversations between inboxes automatically. Definitely worth using. Step number 2, set up your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records. Alright, this is the part that scares most people at first, not because it's hard, but because you have to go into your DNS settings. And if you've never touched DNS before, it can look way more complicated than it actually is. But honestly, most of this is just copy and paste. So first, log into wherever you bought your domain. GoDaddy, Namecheap, or Cloudflare. Then go to your DNS setting. You're basically going to add a few text records. For SPF, your SMTP provider gives you a line of text to copy and paste into the text record. Something like this, V equals SPF1. You don't need to create it yourself. Just copy it from your provider and paste it in. DKIM works the same way. Your SMTP provider generates a long security key for you, and you paste that into another text record. Again, mostly copy and paste. Then you have DMARC. That's the one text record that tells inbox providers that what to do if the email fails security check. And after you save everything, DNS updates it can take a little time to propagate. Sometimes a few minutes, sometimes a few hours. It's what I personally use for my own outreach setup. Setting up your SMTP provider. For this example, I'm using Email Belt because it's what I personally use for my own outreach setup. The process is pretty straightforward. You verify your domain, go into your SMTP settings section, and grab 4 things. Your SMTP host, your port number, your username, and your password. Now keep those open because you'll need them for the next step. And one important thing here, make sure you're using port 587 with TLS encryption turned on. Step 4, connect your SMTP server to your cold email tool. Now this is where it all comes together. Whether you're using Rubedo AI, link in the description, Lemlist, SmartLead, or any other cold email platform, they all have a section where you can add a custom sending account via SMTP. You're going to go into that section, plug in the credentials that you just grabbed from your SMTP provider. Now under host, paste in the SMTP host address, 587, username and password from your provider dashboard, and enable TLS, and then save it. Most tools will do a quick connection test right there. If it passes, you're live. If it fails, 90% of the time, it's either the wrong port or a typo in the credential. Double check those 2 things first. Step 5, test your deliverability before you send a single real email. This is non-negotiable. Before your first campaign goes out, you want to know exactly how inbox providers are going to perceive your emails. Now, there are two tools that I use for this. Mailtester.com. Now go there, send an email to the address they give you, hit check, and it will score your email out of 10 and show you exactly what passed and what failed. SPF, DKIM, DMARC, content score, everything. You want a 9 or a 10 before you start sending. mxtoolbox.com. Now this one lets you look up your domain's DNS records and check if your domain shows up on a blacklist, which can happen if, let's say, the previous owner was a spammer. You'll want to request removal before you start sending. It's free and it takes about 2 minutes. That's the full setup. 5 steps, done right, and now you have the infrastructure that most people running cold email campaigns have never even bothered to build. That's your edge. Section 5, sending limits and scaling. Alright, so now you're fully set up, your domain is verified, your DNS records are configured, your SMTP is connected, and your deliverability test looks clean. Now comes the big question everyone asks. How many emails can I actually send? And I want to be honest with you here. This setup gives you basically unlimited scaling potential, but unlimited does not mean blasting emails recklessly. That's where people destroy their sender reputation. The biggest mistake people make, even with perfectly configured SMTP setups, is increasing volume way too fast. Inbox providers just don't look at your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records. They also watch your sending behavior. So if your domain sends 20 emails today and suddenly sends 800 tomorrow, that looks suspicious. To Gmail, that can look like a hacked account or some spam automation that just turned on overnight. Even if your emails are completely legitimate, that sudden spike is still a major red flag. So here's the warm-up schedule that I personally recommend. Week 1, keep it light, around 20 to 30 emails a day. Make them sound natural and conversational, nothing spammy or mass sent looking. Week 2, move up to around 70 to 100 per day. Now you're still building trust here, so don't rush it. Week 3, around 150 to 200 at this point. At this point, inbox providers are starting to recognize your domain and sending behavior. Week 4, around 300 a day. Now you're building momentum. Week 5, around 450 to 500. Week 6, 6 to 700 per day. If your bounce rate is low and deliverability still looks clean, you're in a really good spot. Week 7 and beyond, around 800 to 900 emails a day per inbox. That's your sweet spot. And notice I said per inbox. That part matters a lot because the real way professionals scale cold emails isn't by blasting thousands of emails from one inbox. That gets you flagged fast. Instead, they spread volume across multiple inboxes and multiple domains. So let's say you want to send 5,000 emails a day. You wouldn't send all 5,000 from one email account. Instead, you might have 5 to 10 domains with multiple inboxes on each one. Then your software rotates the sending across all of them. That way, each inbox only sends a normal amount every day, which looks natural to Gmail. But together, you're still sending thousands of emails daily without looking suspicious. That's what unlimited scaling actually means. Not one inbox sending infinite emails, but building the right infrastructure behind the scenes. Now, realistically, one properly warmed up inbox, once you get close to 1,000 per inbox, start getting unstable. For most businesses, even a few inboxes rotating together is already enough to generate a serious amount of leads. And at the end of the day, scaling cold email is really an infrastructure game. More domains, more inboxes, proper warm-up, smart rotation. That's how you scale volume without destroying deliverability. And that's the full setup. You now have everything you need to send cold emails at scale, land in the inboxes, and build a real outreach system right away. Now you know better. And if you want a better platform that helps bring all of this together in one place, check out Rubedo AI. That's the platform I use for managing outreach, connecting SMT servers, warming up inbox, and scaling campaigns without juggling a bunch of different tools. You connect your SMTP, warm up your domains, launch campaigns, and manage everything from one place. I'll leave the link below. And if the video helps you, make sure you subscribe for more content on cold outreach, deliverability, and email automation.